Hello, how's it going? This is John Wydogen with Natural Freedom League at naturalfreedomleague.com. Here once again with my producer and co-host, Chill Will Keller.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Oh man, I'm doing good. Excited for this one.
Another one.
Another one.
Yeah. We have our good friend Suzanne back with us today. Hello, Suzanne.
Hello, boys.
Hello.
How you doing?
Doing good.
Good.
Glad to be back. It's
Yeah.
fun.
Round 3.
Yeah, you're such a good resource, you know. Every time I see you, I'm like, wait, what are you listening to this time? What are you reading now? Like, I'm trying to get caught up. But yeah.
2020's been good for that. I've had lots of time and space to just take in a lot of new information. So
That's true.
There we go.
Excellent.
Yep.
So today we're going to talk about cryptocurrency, which is all the rage. So I figured it'd be good. Suzanne invited some people over and gave a little presentation about what she has learned in 2020. And she wants to share it with us. So we're going to let her go ahead and present her information on cryptocurrency and the blockchain and all the stuff you need to know, or at least get started on, right?
Great.
All right.
So let me start by saying I am not an expert. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not licensed for giving advice, right? All the disclaimers. I tell my friends I'm about third or fourth grader in this, but since you guys are preschoolers, I'm qualified to get you started on the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s, and reading, right?
Love it.
Yeah. So there's a lot I don't know. And honestly, I pay for a lot of my information because this is such new technology and there's so many subtleties of the ins and outs that I could make a whole career out of really understanding all the bits and bytes and ins and outs and, minutia of Bitcoin, well, of cryptocurrency, but I don't have the time, energy, or interest in that. So I do pay for information and I recommend that you pay for information also. There's lots of free information out there. So you don't have to pay for it, but you might find yourself doing better if you pay at least for a little bit. And you can, share it with friends, whatever, but we'll get to that. Political angle, financial angle, they're all saying it's going to boom and keep booming, right? It's very volatile, so it goes up and down a lot each day. But the general trend and the general consensus, it's going to keep going up. And that seems to be in response to the fact that the US dollar and the world fiat currencies are all really, they've had their day, right? They're so overprinted and too much money is out there trying to prop things up. And so people are realizing gold, silver, and crypto is right now the places to go with your money. So that's what got me looking into this. How do I just save my retirement money from the stock market crash, right? So a little bit more philosophy, a little bit less technology. But just to start, what is crypto? It is a currency system. So most everybody's heard now of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the original cryptocurrency. It was developed around 2010 or so by some unknown person or group of people. But since it's been built, and it's built on blockchain technology. So we refer to Bitcoin as crypto, but crypto is lots of coins. The last time I checked, there's like 7,000 crypto coins out there, most of which are not in public circulation. They may be like company script kind of stuff, or like I liken them to a department store gift card, right? Where it's only good in that one place. But there's a lot out there, and the blockchain technology is very, very stable and secure, and we'll get a little bit into that. So it's like the way of the future. So we need to talk a little bit about, why we would want to investigate this new currency. Because, we have our dollars and our credit cards and our money supply, but honestly, every fiat currency ever invented in the world has gone to zero. And it doesn't take that long, several hundred years, I would think at most. There's a link at the bottom of the documents here that talks about fiat currencies going to zero. And when the fiat currency goes to zero, it takes away the wealth of the people, because the banks don't really lose out because they've created it out of nothing for the most part. But cryptocurrency gives us a chance to take back our financial freedom from the central banks. And it's got a lot of the cryptos have built into them the sound money concepts. So if you look into the Austrian School of Economics and the sound money theories, you'll see a lot of that built into some of the coins. Not all of them, but there are some that are good. Determining which coin you want is where you'll really benefit from paying for some advice, or at least researching different areas, because they all have their own little niche, right? So like Bitcoin is just the original. Bitcoin Cash is supposed to be super fast so that you can have like credit card speed transactions. Some of the other coins that can take 10, 30 minutes when you make a send or receive a coin for it to complete all of the confirmations that it needs to complete. So there's just lots of different things to look at when you're trying to decide what coin or coins you might want to get into. Just a little bit of definition. What is a currency, right? A currency is just a medium of exchange that you can use to purchase something that has value. So a currency in and of itself doesn't hold value because it comes from the word current, right? Which is just the little electricity zapping down the wire. It doesn't store anything. Now, money, on the other hand, does have a store of value. Money is always a currency. Currency is not always a money. And then, of course, there's our fiat currency, which only derives its value because the government says this is what you have to use. And so then everyone just agrees, well, we have to use it, so it has value. But the value keeps eroding. And with all of the extra money printed up this year, I think our money supply has gone up 25% in just 2020 alone. And they keep talking about more stimulus packages in the trillions of dollars. So the money is getting very close to not being of much value.
Almost like they're doing it on purpose.
Almost, everyone's like, they're doing it wrong. They don't know what they're doing. It's like, really? This is people running the world. This is their job, and we know more than they do.
Yeah, they know exactly what they're doing.
It's just not what we think they're supposed to be doing.
Those damn crooks.
Yes. Okay, so, and the other thing, we talk about Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is to crypto what Kleenex is to tissues, right? It's the brand name that everybody knows that they use it to refer to the product generically, but Bitcoin is actually a specific coin. Cryptocurrency is the generic product. So I may even slip up and say Bitcoin when I mean to say crypto, so just keep that in mind. Now, one other thing for the parents out there, the younger people, the blockchain technology is only maybe 10, 11, 12 years old. It is the wave of the future. So if anyone is looking for a career or a business to build that's really going to have a lot of growth, it's understanding the blockchain technology. So if your kids are interested in programming, send them down that route, because there's going to be a job for everybody, from full on central bank, because they're creating the crypto dollars that are going to be what we're all going to be getting soon, down to, the black market, counterculture, economics coins. So the whole gamut is going to have a lot of blockchain. And it's not just crypto that runs on the blockchain. It's all sorts of technologies that I haven't even investigated, but I know that they're out there. So that is an excellent career path for anybody interested in this sort of programming or technology, or even understanding the ins and outs or marketing new coins. I mean, there's going to be a lot of opportunity here. So the blockchain technology, and I'm just going to go over this briefly because there's a lot of information out there. It's based on decentralization. So all the different nodes on the network create the blockchain, and they all approve it, and then it gets written as permanent. It's transparent. So, and this is where I get a little confused because some coins are private and some are not, but everyone can actually see the transactions. I think it's just transparent as to how much data you can see on each transaction, right? So like the most private coin that I'm aware of, the sender, the receiver, and the dollar amount are all encrypted. So you can see the blockchain, but it's like just a bunch of hex, QR code stuff. So, but I think the biggest factor is it's immutable. Once a block has been approved by the requisite number of nodes on the network, it's done. It can't be changed. And they've all built in safeguards so that you can't like overpower the network and take over the approval by some one source. So all of this security is built into it, and they're still pretty new. So they're still finding new ways to the system can be manipulated because it is a young, immature technology. But that's where, if you're a young person and you like this kind of stuff, that would probably be kind of fun. I almost wish I was 20 again, but almost. And want to go over a little bit about the properties of money, just because when you're talking about replacing a money system, potentially, it's good to know what makes a money system, right? So money has to be durable. So like our paper dollars aren't very durable. They can burn up in a fire. It has to be portable. A big brick of gold isn't that portable because you can't, run away with it very readily. Or if your cow is your money, you can't run away with your cow, right? So it has to be portable. It has to be divisible. So you can break it down into pieces, like a dollar breaks down into 4 quarters. So it has to be very divisible and fungible. So a dollar is a dollar is a dollar, right? A gold coin, a $1 gold coin is the same as the next $1 gold coin, right? So all the denominations are similar within its unit. And then the last one is not as hardcore. It has to be intrinsically valuable. So like even gold, is it intrinsically valuable? Well, yeah, you can do some things with gold. You can't eat it. It's not going to keep you warm in the winter, but you can do other things with it, build electronics or, whatever. And so as far as crypto goes, some people claim that the blockchain is what gives it its value. That would probably get into some kind of philosophy that I'm not quite ready to understand yet, but I thought I'd just throw those things in there. Now I put in this little picture. I don't know if it's visible, but it's in the paperwork. The difference between centralization and decentralization, right? And this is a key part of why the blockchain is so valuable, because it's decentralized. So you have just node network computers talking to each other. So nobody can really come in and take over. Whereas with centralization, if the bank shuts down, that's it. The bank shut down. The central part shut down, and you're out of luck. Okay. So a little bit on the philosophy. Why should I invest? Well, for me, the biggest factor that made me choose to invest, and I knew about Bitcoin for years, but I was never interested until this last year when I realized we're heading, in my opinion, for the Great Reset, right? The financial system going to zero and starting over. So I'm using it because I now understand that every fiat system ever created, and this is historical fact, has gone to zero. And not in that long of a lifetime. It doesn't take that long for them to get overprinted. The power of the money is eroded through inflation, which is just another way of stealing the wealth of the people. And once we detached the US dollar from the gold standard in 1971, there was very little left to rein in the money printing, right? There's no productivity backing the fiat money because they can just print it up. when you mine gold, when you mine silver, when you mine Bitcoin, because that's how they get Bitcoin, there's actual physical or some sort of energy that has to be put out to create that tangible or that currency. And that's what gives it value. But when the Fed turns on the printing press, or worse yet, just puts an entry in a computer, there's no energy behind that, right? So this is why fiat doesn't last, because there's nothing really to back it up. The second point, all the financial indicators, and for this you have to look at alternative sources, they all show the same thing, that we are headed for disaster. You know, the government, I read the papers almost every day, and it's like, oh, the recovery. It's like, how are we recovering when half the world's out of work? How? And they're on the dole. You know, so for them to even print up that we're recovering just boggles my mind. It makes no sense. And I don't think it's real, because, you know, there's the way they calculate these statistics and indexes and stuff, for the most part, it's meaningless. But, you know, until you dig in and research that, you don't realize that it's mostly meaningless. So they'll talk about GDP and unemployment, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't mean much.
Yeah, a buddy of mine who was in like the stock market when he was younger, I asked him the other day, "Are you still in that?" And he was like, you know, he's like, he said the same thing you always say, that like it's about to crash, you know.
I got out at end of 2015, early 2016. I don't remember exactly. So I've always been several years ahead of the game, but I got out because I felt like I was going to crash, not right away. But I also got out because I was being manipulated in there. You know, the stocks don't go up and down based on reality and what's going on necessarily. They're up and down on manipulation and rumors and emotion, you know, and it's like, I'm not going to be tied to that. I'm not going to tie my financial fortunes to other people's emotion, you know? So
Yeah. The patterns are there to be recognized, and you kind of see where it's going.
yeah, but I mean, even now the stock market's gone through the roof and people are out of work. Okay, it doesn't compute for me.
Exactly. That would be kind of one of the patterns, right? It doesn't really compute, doesn't make sense. Something else is going down the pipeline.
Right. So I'm sure there's people who could explain all of it. But for me, it has to be able to make logical sense, and it doesn't. But like what I see with Bitcoin and these other coins, the volatility they're going through now, it does make sense. I get it, because it can't be controlled the same way the stock market can, you know, with corporations pulling their stock in and out and doing all these, you know, insider trading stuff. The crypto is more like a grassroots kind of thing. I mean, one of the reasons Bitcoin is going through the roof is because the institutional investors have recognized this is where we're going, and they're piling, you know, millions and billions into it, and that's why it's just skyrocketing.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's still something available to everybody very readily. So
it's like getting in when the internet was right before the internet was going to launch, right? You'd hear that concept and it'd be like, what? That's crazy. What are you talking about? The internet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my concern, you know, is when the dollar collapses, it's going to set off a chain reaction, because the stock market's right behind the bond market and then the real estate market. Because right now, what's really interesting is these markets are all supposed to push and pull against each other. The stock market, the bond market, the real estate market. Right now, they're all at the same time. So there's no counterbalance. There's no hedging your bets, right? They're all going the same direction. And it's like, I don't know what to do, so I'm out. At least with real estate, if it's your own home, it's good. You have a house to live in, you know. But stocks and bonds, I don't know. And then I'm concerned, you know, when all this crashes, it takes the public and private pensions with it, and most likely our Social Security and all those things. And then what? you know. So if we have time at the end, I'll bring up a mutual lending program, reciprocal lending program that I've kind of come up with that some people might be able to take advantage of. So another option, another reason to invest is private cryptos. So that's the key word, that they're private. There's only two I know of that are truly private. They're not controllable by world governments. And in this day and age, that's a big statement, right? Because the world governments are putting together their own blockchain cryptocurrencies. And you can be sure they're going to be very controlled, right? So when everybody's out of jobs and all the small businesses are bankrupt from all these repeated lockdowns and instability, and then everyone's put on their universal basic income, well, you're going to be paid in your digidollar accounts from the Fed. That's according to the World Economic Forum, which seems to have the playbook for what's happening. And they're not hiding anything. You know, they're presenting all this right out in the open in their marketing materials. So just go look it up. Yep. But if you have private crypto, you have a way to function outside of that, right? So there's the Agorist black market. Is that what they call it? The Agorist black market of people who voluntarily interact for goods and services, and the payments will be in these private cryptos. And you know, that's what we're going to have to do, is build our small communities. And as the communities grow, these private cryptos will be our own way, like our own private little script, where we can just keep circulating the units of energy around the community. So that's where I kind of see it going. I already talked about the world governments building their own. It's central bank digital currency. So if you look that up, you'll see it right out in the open. That's where they're headed. The central banks are, and they have ultimate control. So when the social credit score rolls out everywhere outside of China, where it's already been in place for years, you know, you don't take your vaccine, or you looked up a bad website, well, you know, maybe you don't get your UBI this month. Kind of a bummer. All right. My last reason is every dollar you take out of fiat, stock market, bond market, banking, and invest into an alternative is a dollar towards politely exiting the system, right? Which is what we talked about last time. Because until we stop supporting their systems, we're not going to be free.
Detachment activism. Yep.
And, you know, I just bought a new computer. I bought a Linux It's got like the backdoor hardware on the Intel chip, like hard disabled. The NSA backdoors physically disabled on the chip, right? And it's Linux, and it's a special Linux that's got lots of, you know, disabling of the spyware. And so I bought it in one of my private cryptos, and I was so excited. And then now I look back in the history, and I bought it when my crypto spiked high, like this big spike, and then it came back down. So the universe was like right there saying, buy now, because I like really got it cheap, because I didn't know I was buying it at the peak of my crypto, but I was. So I was.
Are you gonna start mining for crypto?
No. So the mining, I've been listening to some really good podcasts. Most of the coins need huge amounts of electricity to mine. I mean, like the amount of electricity used to mine crypto is equivalent to what countries are using for their everyday use. So apparently most of the mining takes place in China, where the electrical power, the power rates are the cheapest in the world. You know, and these are like $1 million setups, you know, for most of this mining. So now we'll get into how to get crypto without having to be a miner. There's better ways. Okay, some benefits and pitfalls. Benefits, it's less manipulated and controlled than stocks and bonds. Inflation is actually built into most of the coins, if you look at their white papers, they talk about the little bit of inflation they built in. And there's some money theory behind that, which I can't explain, but apparently it's a good thing. You know, and we're talking little bits of inflation, like 0.5% or something. So it's a small, stable rate, so it can't ever change, right? The Fed can set the inflation rate they want to hit, but with these cryptos, it's just built into it. Many coins have limit to the number of coins that can be mined. So the Bitcoin can mine 21 million coins. And apparently that's supposed to happen around the year 2040. So after 2040, no more Bitcoin will be mined. So it limits the money supply of Bitcoin, which limits the ability to erode your purchasing power, you know, because the price of the coins will just keep going up as they become, more people use them, and they seemingly become more scarce because more people are using them. Bitcoin can be crypto can be very easily transported and recreated on any computer or mobile device that is capable of building a wallet or accessing, you know, an app. For the most of the wallets, they give you a 12 to 24 word recovery phrase, which is common words. So it's this GitHub BIP39 code document, which is 2048 common words. And those are all the ones that are used on the wallet recovery phrase. And that I'll come back to that when we talk about how to safeguard your recovery phrase, so that even in a fire, you can get it back. Ideally, if you've got a good memory, you're just going to remember it. Not all of us can do that. But it's very transportable. Another benefit is the world heads more towards the central bank digital currencies and stuff. More vendors are going to accept cryptocurrencies. And so it's becoming more and more common. I mean, I can buy groceries with crypto. I can buy computers with crypto. I can buy and sell on Craigslist with crypto. So it's becoming more and more common. I can donate to John on crypto, which I haven't done yet because I kind of had a busy day, but I'm still going to get to that. So it's becoming easier to use. And the next one is a big one for anybody who needs to send money across a border, because crypto has no borders. You know, my niece lives in New Zealand, and if I want to send her $50 for her birthday, it's like, oh my gosh, right? Fees and international fees and banks and anything of any significant amount gets held up at the banks, and, you know, money laundering and all that kind of stuff that the banks and the governments do to mess with you. But if I want to send her crypto, I just need her wallet address and it's there, you know, and then she can transfer it into her currency if she needs, or just use it as crypto. It's really good for that. And then, like, it costs 10 cents to make a send, you know, approximately. So even if I send $1 million, it'll cost me 10 cents, right? So it's kind of cool. Now the pitfalls, you know, I want to make sure everybody understands this is not for everybody. There are pitfalls. It is currently an investment, and it goes up and down. And if anyone's been watching these prices the last 2 months, you know, Bitcoin, I think I bought in June or July, it was at 9,400 for one Bitcoin. You know, I bought like, I don't know, $1,000 maybe. But since then, it's peaked at 42,000 last week. Now it's back down to 33,000 today, last time I checked. Just, you know, crazy roller coaster ride right now. So if you're a day trader, you know, maybe you could have a lot of fun with it. If you're looking for long-term investment, it's probably really good. But if you just want somewhere short-term for your money, it may not be the right thing, because it's very volatile and some coins do go to zero. They just get wiped out for whatever reason. The next option, or the next problem, is the world banks are concerned about the private coins. So the private coins that I know of are Monero and Pirate. They're very private. You can't even buy them on the main exchanges because they're so private. So you have to like do all these shenanigans through different exchanges and stuff to get to one that where you can trade one crypto for another into these. But like the Fed offered a $650,000 reward to anybody who can crack into Monero. And of course, the people that I listened to when they mentioned this in their podcast, they just kind of laughed. It's like, they can't do it. Monero's private. It was built really well, right? Because they have original crypto people on their staff as part of their team who know the full foundation and everything of these coins. So they're very convinced that it can't be cracked. Of course, who knows? There's always that one person who can figure something out. But so that's an option, where if they crack the code on it, maybe you lose all your coins. It's a high-tech currency. So if you're not comfortable with downloading wallets and keeping track of keys and stuff, it may not be for you. Because if you keep your money on the exchanges, you're not in control of it. So if you want to use this in more of an exiting the system mode, you have to be able to take on the responsibility of it and understand the technology, enough to know how to download a wallet, install it, get around some kind of technical stuff. It took me like several days to get one of my wallets downloaded because it's a new wallet and they're expecting you to be more technically advanced, So I've, put some effort into it, but one wallet I couldn't get to work and I ended up just selling that coin because if I can't get this wallet to work and I've tried everything and there's not a whole lot of support. And I talked to another person on the forums and like, yeah, I sold mine because I figured if they can't support it, even the wallet, I don't know that I want this coin. I'm like, good point, right? So I sold that coin also. And, so there is it's immature, this crypto space. And the other thing is whenever I get a new coin and I'm doing a transaction, I always start with a small amount, like $1. So if it goes astray, I'm not going to cry, right? You don't want to just send your $1,000 all at once without knowing that the dollar got there first. Right?
Smart.
Another pitfall, there is no central authority when you're dealing with crypto in a private wallet. So if you stay on an exchange and you have a problem, there's typically somebody you can reach out to for help because they're holding your crypto and your keys. So they kind of have some responsibility for it. But when I'm on the forums, I see people talking about my exchange got raided and someone stole all my coins. They never say which exchange it is or which coin, so I don't know. Some of the exchanges are not, it's just somebody throws up a website and starts exchanging crypto. So probably not a whole lot of security there. The other ones, the bigger ones like Coinbase and stuff, the fees they charge for exchanges are pretty steep. So I feel more comfortable that they're going to have some security, but they also have more control and all the know your customer information. So, the government's got their eyes into your crypto on these exchanges. In the forums, I think I already said this, many of the crypto exchanges are unreliable. Most of us have to use an exchange as an on-ramp to transfer dollars into crypto. There are other ways to get it, which I'll get through in a little bit. But in the beginning, I was the only one I knew doing this, so I didn't have any other ways to get it. So I just had to take on the exchange and hope it all worked out, and it did. Okay, wallets can have problems too. Although from what I've seen, it seems to more be user misunderstanding, especially for the ones that have to wait to sync before the money shows up. and people are thinking, where'd my money go? It's like, well, it says you're still sinking, and they don't actually understand what that means. So the wallets are, I use the Exodus wallet right now, which has been just very easy to use for me. I haven't had any problems with it. Another pitfall is the governments are trying to outlaw private wallets. I keep hearing rumors like this, which is equivalent to saying you can no longer have cash in a wallet in your back pocket. Right? How do you do that? So
Typical for the government. Those
yeah.
fuckers.
So, they want complete and utter control. And so anything that goes around them, they're going to try to go after. So, most of this politely exiting the system stuff means you're going to really, for some of these things like the cryptos, you're going to have to know how to keep your coins clean. That's another thing. So I joined the Dollar Vigilante as a member. And as a member, I get access to some white papers, or not white papers, but just papers they've written on how to navigate this stuff. Because one of the things is, like with Bitcoin specifically, if you get Bitcoin from somebody, not an exchange, but like a private party, the government has blockchain analysts that analyze the blockchain looking for anything that could be construed as criminal purchase, criminal behavior. So if 20 purchases ago, somebody bought cocaine with crypto, and the government can prove that, and then 20 purchases later, somebody uses that same coin to buy something from me, I can have my coin confiscated because it was used in illegal activity 20 purchases ago. Which is like saying the $20 bill in your pocket was used in illegal activity, and now the government can take it from you. It's like, it's unrelated to me. That ship has sailed. Go after them. But they do it, and they do it all the time.
It's crazy.
Extortion.
You know how many $100 bills have been used for cocaine? And man,
Yeah,
it's like almost the same thing. It's like, come on.
It is. It's crazy. So they have this paper on how to keep your coins clean. So, there's a lot of good information out there, but, these people put a lot of effort into writing these papers. So they do sell them, not the papers, but the membership. But it's worth it. I think, you can just sign up for a few months, get all the information, get all the papers, and then, maybe that's enough.
You got to collect your grammar.
Exactly. All right. Exchanges have been raided and coins stolen. I don't know much about this. I just know that I've seen it in the forums. And I just want to bring it up to people so they know it's a possibility. I don't keep my coins on the exchange. Once I make my purchases and the clearing period is expired, which on Coinbase is 7 days to make sure that your transaction is going to complete, then I transfer it off into my private wallet. Now, the biggest pitfall, I think, is if you store your funds in a private wallet and you lose your recovery phrase and you lose access to your wallet because, say, your computer blew up or something, you've lost your money. There's no one to contact to help you. You've lost it. So this is the case where if you're going to be off grid, so to say, you have to be hugely self-reliant and self-responsible. So you have to have multiple backups of your key that can't be stolen, right? Because if someone steals your flash drive with your key on it, then they've stolen your wallet, right? So it's kind of tricky how to play this backup game, and I'm still working on it, but I have lots of things to show you on how you can do it.
There's that key word, responsibility.
But when we're self-responsible, self-reliant, and we stand on our sovereignty, the universe will have our back. And the more I do it, the more the universe is pushing me down the road. So
get your wallet tattooed on the bottom of your foot is the best idea.
Ouch. Okay. As far as what coins to get into, I can tell you what the privacy coins are right now. They're Monero and Pirate. And that's information that I got through my paid site, but they're starting to release it publicly, so I don't feel bad saying it. Privacy is a big one. So you need to know what is your purpose for buying your coins, right? Right now I have 5 different coins in my wallet just because I want to try a variety of things. You know, some of them I'm not sure why I'm holding them, just because I didn't really know what I was doing in the beginning, and they're going up. So it's like, well, I'll keep them. But privacy is a big one for me. So my bigger holdings are in the privacy coins, because that's like where I feel like, okay, if things really go south, those can't be touched, you know, by the government stuff. The reliability of the coin. Some coins go to 0. So I mentioned that in the pitfalls. So this is where you want to get different perspectives from different blockchain experts as to what coins are good, what coins are not. Because some coins are always being deplatformed, maybe for a good reason, like Monero was just deplatformed from one of the exchanges, but it's because they didn't want to deal with the government on it. And the government's going after Monero, so they deplatform Monero. So it's kind of like being censored. It's like, great, check mark in the, you know, we're on the right track here. Others just have proven to be fraudulent or poorly designed. So you got to know what kind of coin you're dealing with. And the only way I know to do that is to listen to the marketing people and the people who hate it, and then find the truth, you know, somewhere in between. Speed of transactions is a big one. So a lot of the resistance to the cryptocurrencies is you can't go in and just swipe like you do a Visa card, and 2 seconds later you've got approval or decline, right? This has to go out to the right, the blockchain, and the more private it is, the more nodes have to approve it. So, you know, the real private ones don't clear very quickly. It can take 20, 30 minutes or maybe even longer for your transaction to complete, you know, and then you're not going to sit around the store for that long. So, you know, something like Bitcoin Cash is actually a fork off of the Bitcoin blockchain that I believe was developed for speed of transaction. So it's got different technology, but, you know, whatever you gain in one thing, you give up in another. So speed of transaction is going to give up some of the privacy and the security and, you know, other factors. Volatility. So some coins are much more volatile than others. And, you know, like I said, we're seeing that with Bitcoin right now. It's just up and down like crazy. But that's because all the big guys are getting into it too. So that's another reason why I have a little variety of coins, you know, because they don't all go up and down in sync. And then finally, the ability to transfer your coins out of the system you purchase them in. So Facebook, PayPal, they're building their own cryptos, but the snag is you won't be able to transfer those cryptos out of their systems. May or may not be a problem, right? If you're getting crypto there so that you can transfer it to your bank account to pay your mortgage, well, then that's a problem. But if you use PayPal as a clearinghouse and you've always got it coming and going, it may not be a problem that you can't transfer those coins off of that system. So it's just something, you know, some people call it a trap, or it's like, I don't know if it's a trap, if it's, as long as you know that's the situation. But, you know, just know why you're doing it. So for me, I'm buying it to get my dollars out of the stock market and the banks where I feel like they're not safe anymore. So these are my retirement dollars, right? So this is kind of a big deal for me because I don't know where else to put them. You know,
yeah.
you buy gold, you buy silver, but then you got to store it, right? So it's like just trying to do a bunch of different things to hedge my bets.
Well, this crypto is a good idea for that, for sure.
I think so. Yeah. You know, I've been researching it for, well, most of 2020, and it didn't take long to decide, you know, this is an option. I'm just going to try it out.
Yeah.
Okay. how do we buy crypto? This is the big thing. So I spent 3 hours today with a friend of mine trying to get him set up on an exchange so he could buy crypto from his bank account, and the universe conspired against him.
Mm.
We couldn't get it working for this reason, that reason, this other. It was just absurd. So he pulls $100 bill out of his wallet and says, here, send me some crypto, right? So I went to my exchange. I took 100 out of my bank account and bought his crypto, wrote down the number of coins it was worth, sent it, and then sent it to my wallet and sent it to him, right? So that's not, that actually, well, I guess that would be considered a private purchase. So that's my second item down here on this list. The main way people get it is by going through the exchanges. So there's the problem with the exchanges is, in order to take US dollars, they have to be set up as a bank. And to be set up as a bank, the government knows every tidbit about what's happening, right? You have to give your social, your driver's license, you have to take a picture of your smiling face so they can compare it with your driver's license, make sure it's really you, right? So, and then if you leave your money on the exchange, then they can calculate capital gains and stuff if you sell it. So, there's a lot of factors there. Then there's the other part where the exchanges are getting rated. Honestly, I don't know enough about that beyond what I said. I've seen it in the forums, but it is definitely something to investigate if you're going to leave your money on an exchange. The benefit of the exchange is you can take the money from your bank account or your credit card or your debit card and use it directly to buy crypto. There's fees. So the fees range from like 10%. So my first purchase, it's like, oh, maybe I'll try $10. And then I realized it was a $1 fee. That's a 10% fee, right? To buy some crypto. So then I bumped it up a little bit and I realized there's a sweet spot where you can get the lowest fee of 1.4 something percent. And so that's kind of, I don't buy below that dollar amount anymore because I don't want to pay those ridiculous fees. So the high trading fees and the know your customer information is the downside, but the upside is they're pretty easy to use. You don't have to worry so much. If you're going to keep it on the exchange, you don't have to keep your keys. They keep them for you. If you forget your password, you can go through the whole password reset stuff, right? So it's, for a newbie, it's probably a good place to start if you just want to dip your toes in. But if you're going to go full anarchist, self-reliant type, you don't want to leave them there. And maybe you don't even want to start there, but because there are other ways to do it. So the next option is a private purchase. So this is like someone who already has crypto. It's like, I already have crypto. And somebody else just says, here, sell me some of your crypto, right? So my friend gives me $100. I send him $100 worth of crypto. It's very easy. Of course, I don't want to sell my crypto because I'm storing it as my wealth, but for a friend, I would do it. So I did. There's groups like localmonero.co, which is a website where you can buy crypto that, I don't know if these guys have mined it or how they get it, but they'll sell it to you for cash. But most of this is like sending cash through the mail, and then they'll send you the crypto to your wallet. So it's kind of like a Craigslist deal in the back alley. You don't know what you're getting into. The site does have star ratings. So I actually, when I was first trying to figure out how to do this, I tried to buy, I think I was going to do $100 to buy some Monero, but I didn't have any star ratings, so it rejected me as a buyer. So I don't know how you get to be a buyer the first time on these sites, but my notes, it's you just have to be cautious as you would with any cash transaction with a stranger. But the benefits are, there's no fees. It's the lowest cost and it's private. So now the ideal way to get crypto is to sell goods and services or take donations and accept crypto as your payment. That there's no downside to it that I could think of. If somebody can think of one, let me know, but I can't think of one. There's no fees. It's low cost. There's no know your customer. And it builds the new system, right? If everyone takes crypto, there you go. You do your service, you get paid in crypto. It's just slowly replaces the fiat. So that's the ideal one. And like, anyone who's got a website that takes donations, put your QR code up there for several coins and let people send the donations in crypto, because every time the market spikes, you'll probably get some benefits from that, because people are like, I just, might just double my money in a week. Here, let me send some to my favorite podcaster, So the other two options, you can become a miner, which I already talked about. I don't think for the average person that's even feasible. Maybe for a brand new coin that does the proof of stake rather than the proof of work, that might be an option. But you need to really know what you're doing to do that. And I didn't go there. So I just want to bring it up so people know, okay, well, there is other options. Now, for those of you out there who still have money in an IRA in the stock market, you can take that to a custodial IRA. So there's no penalties for rolling it out of your IRA or your 401k into a custodian. You just have to do the paperwork correctly, and there's no penalties. And then you can use that to buy crypto, and the custodian holds the keys. So the benefits, you're getting your money out of the stock market or the bond market. The downside is you still don't have access to the money, the crypto, but you didn't have access to your 401k either, because they lock it all up tight. So it's kind of a wash in that regard. But you're getting your money out of the market and you're getting it invested in something that has a little bit better future than where it was. So I think, what is it? Bit IRA, I think, is one of the custodians. I think most of the custodians actually have it now as options in what you can purchase. So the self-directed IRAs, just in general, if you have money in the market, in an IRA, in a 401k, or even in a pension, and you're concerned about the future of those things, you can cash it out, put it in a self-directed IRA, and then you have a lot more ability to control how it gets invested. So you can invest in gold and silver, not physically, but you can buy it and store it in the vaults of all these different companies. Crypto, you can make private loans to people. I think I talked a little bit about this last time. And I'll bring it now. So my reciprocal loan idea is where 2 people or 3 people take their money out of their IRAs or their 401ks, put them in their custodian, so there's no tax liability on that rollover, and then they loan each other similar amounts of money, right? And now you've got your money. You can, it's like I have a friend who wants to buy a house, and I have another friend who I think should pay off her mortgage. It's like, okay, roll out your monies, loan each other money for your mortgages, and then your money's out of the market. It's in something tangible that you're actually going to live in, right? So what I try to explain to people is, if the stock market crashes and you haven't taken your money out, you've lost it, but you still have your mortgage. And then you probably lose your job, because with the stock market crashes, everything goes down with it. But if you've taken your money out of the stock market and invested it in this reciprocal loan program so that you end up paying off your mortgage, well, now you still have your house, right? And the downside is maybe you missed out on a little bit of gains if the market didn't crash. But ultimately you invested in your own house. And to me, especially in these times, that's more valuable than any potential gains in the market. So, but it's an option for people who are concerned about losing the retirement funds. So, and I have a write-up on that. So if anybody wants that, I can send that out. All right. So how do I store my crypto? So we talked about the exchange. So the exchanges are things like Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, as in release the Kraken. We tried Kraken today and we could not figure out how to fund it from the bank account. So I'm not so sure that's the best one, because I can usually figure these things out. And I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about here. So
Yeah,
you might have to do a little research.
It's hard to crack the Kraken.
Yeah, but Coinbase was very easy, except for the technical issue we ran into. But we think it was something on their site that just needed to be resolved. So we're going to try it again another day. Yeah. So the exchanges are easy to use. You can recover your account online. Those are the pros. The cons are somebody else holds your keys and the government knows everything you've done in there, right? And some of them get raided and coins get stolen. But again, I don't think that's the big ones like Coinbase and stuff, because they're the custodian of your keys and your money, and you pay big fees. So I can't imagine that they would get raided and still be in business. But again, it's buyer beware at this point. So a software wallet. This is what I think most people do. You download a wallet onto your phone, onto your computer, and then that's it. It's not connected to anything. You need internet access because it has to update its blockchain every time you open your wallet. So that'll be when it starts syncing your coins to know how many coins you currently have. And then, it gets market value and determines how much it's worth. But they're pretty easy to use. They give you the 12 or the 24 word passphrase so that you can recover your wallet. So, say your house burns down, but you have your passphrase stored, maybe in a fireproof safe. So I've got some gadgets to show you here. This titanium, I don't know if you can see that.
Is that a nano wallet or a hard
this
wallet?
This is let's see. It's the cold.
Oh,
yeah,
gotcha.
I think that's coming through backwards, yeah. But you guys can figure it out.
No, it's good. Yeah.
So what you do with this is you use the Ep.39 word list from GitHub, and you get a punch set, right? These 0 through 9 little punches. I think that's a 1, right? And then you translate your phrase into the numbers, and then you just pound with a mallet, pound the numbers into the titanium. And these titanium things are fireproof. So what happens is people have the fireproof safes, but somehow the heat gets in there and still destroys the paper. So I've heard these stories. This stuff is apparently indestructible. Maybe a nuclear blast, maybe whatever brought down the World Trade Center might destroy this, but and it's
DEW.
It's
DEW proof.
Right. And it's little. So I mean, you can actually carry it around with you. It's got these little screws to hold it together. So this is a good, if you've got something that's always by your side, you could just keep it with you. And even if there's a fire, that's what you grab and run out the door. I do not recommend storing anything that you can't lose in a safety deposit box. The minute your money or your possessions enter that bank, it's their property and they can take it from you. Nobody realizes this. I didn't realize this until just a few months ago when someone was telling me, if you actually read the fine print, the minute you deposit your money, it's theirs. They just let you access it.
Yeah.
So this is where if they have the bank holiday, they can legally just take some of it because we signed it over to them.
Yeah. It's like what happened in was it France, where the banks closed down and people were rioting and it was a huge issue. I think this was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, I don't remember that. I know in
The banks
Argentina,
crashed. Was it?
Argentina and Venezuela have both, definitely Argentina.
Yeah.
I know Venezuela's had its issues too, but okay. Some software wallets store lots of coins. So the Exodus stores a lot of coins. I don't remember how many. I think it said about 100. So pretty much everything you're going to want to store is going to be in an Exodus wallet. There, some of the newer ones like the Pirate, they're not in the Exodus wallet. They may be someday, but right now they just have their own private wallet. So you have to. So now I have like 2 wallets or 3 wallets. I don't remember. So that's just more to keep track of, but it's the price of freedom, right? Then there's this hardware wallet like a Trezor, which is like a USB card. I bought it months ago and I haven't figured out why I need that over these other things, right? I'm sure I did a little research on it, and it's basically you download your data and then you put it away, long-term storage. So like I said, I don't know how that's better than a different one, but it's out there. People are recommending them. So, it's something to investigate.
My cousin has one of those. He keeps it on a chain around his neck.
Okay. Well, there you go.
His biceps are like this big, so makes sense.
Yeah.
Someone like me, I'll have to bury it or something.
Right.
Go on. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. So to keep your coins private, if you're buying them from an exchange, you say you buy from Coinbase, they require you to hold the coins on there for 7 days to make sure that, all the US dollars are actually cleared all the way through the system. And then you transfer them off into your private wallet. That's what I do. To buy some of these privacy coins, you have to transfer them from the exchange, maybe to another exchange where they trade that particular coin. So like from Coinbase, I transfer Bitcoin to TradeOgre, and then from TradeOgre, I can buy Monero, Pirate, some of the other lesser known coins, and then from there, I transfer them into the private wallet, whichever one will take them. So it's kind of a lot of, you got to have a roadmap, and each transfer can take, like I do a test transfer and then it shows up, and then I do the big transfer, and then I'm on pins and needles because like, what if this one doesn't work, even though the one before it just worked, right? So it's still a little bit nerve-wracking every time I do the big transfer, and you got to keep coming back and checking. So it's a little bit of, I don't know, it's interesting. You have to be dedicated a little bit to it, but and then the philosophical thought. So we're almost done here. The larger meaning of why we would want to hold private coins. The public coins are just an investment and something new, but the private coins are a new way of life for us who are going to be forced out of the system because we won't play the game, right? The private coins are how we're going to have our own little communities outside of the reach of Big Brother. Mm-hmm. So, I think buying and holding these private coins in a private wallet shows the universe you are self-reliant, resilient, and exiting the system. And that's an important statement to make, right? Every dollar removed from the central banks is a step closer to their no longer functioning. And again, with great freedom comes great responsibility, right? Spider-Man, they say it in the movies. We just have to listen and believe, So if you choose to adopt this, you have to take full responsibility for safeguarding your coins and your wallets. Because if you lose your recovery key, you've lost your wallet. and there's just no way around it. I think that's it. And then I've got a little bit down here about the blockchain, just a little thing. And then some resources at the bottom for where you can get more education, where you can buy some advice, and things like that.
Cool.
I got through that less than an hour.
we can attach this document with this episode, correct?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. Sweet.
So there's a lot to it. There's no doubt. It's taken me, I don't know, 5 months to kind of work my way through all the things I wanted to figure out. And, it's not that I figured them out, but I figured out how to get everything where I want to get it. Right. So I'm still working on some things, but.
I have one question, which you kind of touched on, and I think in terms of the philosophical thoughts about it, is one that, is there a concern of sort of, it seems inevitable that we're going to a cryptocurrency, and so it's this balance of that, like that video of Catherine Austin Fitz, I think you saw that one, and she's saying we have to stop paying into the system, we have to stop giving, feeding it. And there's this weird like dichotomy with Bitcoin where it's like you feel like you're kind of paying into what's going to be the control system. It's like, but then I understand the difference between private and government regulated, but it's almost like it's inevitable for us to help them build that system because we all start buying into the cryptocurrency. But
yeah, well, Bitcoin, technically Bitcoin's still a private coin. It's just the government knows how to analyze the blockchain and find out who you are. So it's private in the way that they can't own it, but it's not private in the way that they can decipher it, if that makes sense, right? So when you're buying into Bitcoin, you're still going off central bank, but you can still get bit by Bitcoin, depending on
and they're still trying to come after it, right?
They if they see a lot of activity going to one wallet, they might start investigating. I'm not worried about my Bitcoin because I'm small potatoes and all my stuff's come off the exchange. There's nothing for the government to say except, that they know I have it. So that may be something at some point, but I don't think I'm at any risk of having my coins confiscated, because if they come from an exchange, they should be clean.
I guess one more way to like follow this up is there a way that the government could say, okay, we're taking Bitcoin and we're making that the digidollar?
No, they're creating their own.
They're creating their own.
Yeah, because Bitcoin's not controllable enough. It's investigatable, but it's not controllable. That might be a better way to say it, right? They can make it so the exchanges can't sell you Bitcoin anymore. So that's what happened in Monero, is one exchange decided it's not worth the hassle of trying to sell this because of the government intrusion, I think is what their reasoning was. But, even if the government says you can't use Bitcoin anymore, there's still a lot of Bitcoin out there and a lot of blockchain out there, and they can't really stop it.
Yeah, my take is what this is it's opportunity. So yeah, first, Suzanne, great presentation. That was awesome. People really need to do their homework and dive in and learn about this.
Let me just say,
it's going that way already.
Don't take anything I've said as gospel truth, because like I said, I'm about a third grader. I could have made a mistake here, but this is my understanding as I know it now. So sorry, go ahead, Will.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And that's pretty much the point of this conversation, is to spark people's interest and give them a starting point. Here's a little information. Now go and do your homework thoroughly. But we can see with like the World Economic Forum, the Great Reset, this is going to be the new currency. The governments are going to be in play there. But for right now, it's an opportunity for someone to make good investments, detach from the banking system, the fiat system, that's just
Yeah.
a plague and a disease, and give you opportunity to kind of capitalize and use that as a tool. That's how I see it. I have a little bit of crypto, but I see it as a long-term investment. So I can take my gains and don't have to do my 9 to 5. And John and I can do podcasts all day, and you
Right.
know what I mean, and do the great work and expose the evil effers. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
opportunity, but you got to, yeah, you definitely got
It's,
to do your research.
yeah. For me, I'm trying to reinvest my bank dollars. And so when I went to buy my computer, I'm like, oh, look, they take Monero. And then I was torn because I want to support the crypto community, but I want to get my bank dollars out. I ended up doing the crypto because it just felt like the right thing to do in that situation.
Yeah.
But now I still have to get my bank dollars out and invested somewhere, so
Yeah.
I guess I'll just buy more Monero. But
I know they do have Bitcoin ATMs. I have one right down the street from my
oh,
house.
really?
You can put in
Cool.
cash and then transfer it to a wallet, buy coin or whatever. They charge you just crazy fees, but
Right.
you pretty
Yeah.
much need a bank account to buy crypto, right?
Well, so if you look at,
My question is, can you use like a prepaid debit card?
that's a good question. If you're going to use US dollars on the ones I've looked at so far, which is Coinbase and Kraken, you need to give them a driver's license and a social. So whether you have to have a bank account, I don't know, but you definitely have to have the other things.
Yeah, I just signed up for crypto.com and went through the whole processing. I haven't actually bought crypto because I just got it a couple days ago. But a year and a half ago, I was doing some crypto trading. So I don't have a bank account right now, but I opened one so I can just, funnel the cash, the hard cash to my crypto so I can trade. I was using an app called Cash App, and my bank canceled my account because they were seeing cash go in, Cash App, crypto transactions. They canceled it. They
Yeah,
cut
you
that
must
off.
be a criminal. That's what they
Meet
think
me
if you're
at the
using
door.
cryptos.
Yeah.
What do you have to hide? Well, I like my privacy. The fact that I just bought a computer isn't anything I particularly need to hide, but you just particularly don't need to know about it either,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I think, the one thing that's cool about it too is just the idea of decentralization, and that like that's a theme for moving forward in the future outside of the control system. And so there's a part of Bitcoin that represents that. And I think that it applies, with that, and it also applies with how we need to set up our societies. And, same thing with like the computing system, just the blockchain in general. Like you said, it's going to be used for a lot of different technologies.
Yeah, and to that point, the computer I bought, like I said, is a Linux operating system with a lot of the hardware backdoors disabled. So it's another piece of the puzzle people might want to consider. They also have phones. They're very expensive right now, but if we want to be able to exist in this environment without, being totally controlled and spied upon, we're going to have to rethink some of our internet access tools.
And that's a part of detachment activism, right? So I mean, get a VPN and get some kind of reliable security, even a VPN on your phone that kind of blocks your IP address, so you don't have Big Brother watching your activity. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they can still figure out who we are, but it's just one step harder.
yeah,
I don't want to make it easy for them.
Yeah.
So,
perfect.
and in light of all the stuff that's gone on in the last week, I've realized it might even be time to stop engaging on the social media, because I mean, some of the Congress people are talking about rounding up Republicans or Trump supporters and sending them to re-education camps,
Yeah.
right? And it's like,
did you see the guy?
what?
The guy got caught today, and they fired him. PBS fired him. It was Project Veritas.
Yeah,
He was a guy. He worked for PBS News, and he's like a counselor for them. And he
mhm.
got caught on video saying, "We're going to take Republican children. Can you imagine these kids that grew up under Trump? They're going to be
Yeah.
terrible people. We're going to put them in enlightenment camps." He called it.
I saw that today, and it's like,
Crazy.
that's just insane.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't need to be this divided. And
Yeah. Well, you know
So-
what? That's maybe that's the next episode.
yeah, because this bit, on off 1-0, right left, black white paradigm is just, it's going to kill us all. And there's always a third way. And that's what we really need to work on, is going down that third way so that we don't have to hate each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did start advising people, if you were a Trump supporter or a patriot or any of those things, you're starting to have a target on your back, because, my one friend said she was informed about an app where they can look up the exact location of Trump supporters, people who voted for Trump in their neighborhood. Like a woman in an apartment building has a picture at the window of the specific apartment. Mike,
That's probably why
not
they
enough.
wanted people to vote so bad, so they could figure out who
crazy.
it was.
That's
You
that's
know?
what the political system is. It's for polarization and to
Yeah.
create that divide. So
So I think
we're gonna see it intensify.
Yeah, for this particular year, I feel like maybe it's time to kind of lay low on social media, because I don't think we're going to convince any more people through social media. Maybe one-on-one we could still, or through these podcasts, but social media is just putting a target on your back, So just something to consider. I know it's off topic, but it came in really strong to me yesterday or the other day, when something happened on social media to a friend, and was like, whoa, okay, this isn't fun and games anymore, right?
But it relates because it's all about detaching,
Yeah.
so we got to think of it from all different angles.
Yeah, valid point.
All right, Suzanne, well, thank you very much.
All right, thanks guys. It was
Good
always
information.
Suzanne.
fun as usual.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
And always remember, put something good in the air and plant something good in the earth.
There you go.
Gee.